Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your guy Realistic here, and I'm doing another tutorial for SoundOracle.net. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you one simple trick to make your vocals sound wider. It's really simple to do. I'll also show you at the end how you can do this with some stock plugins as well, just in case you're not having the same tools that I have. But before we get into that, be sure, if you're not already, to subscribe to our YouTube page. That way you can catch the weekly videos that we do for tutorials and tips and tricks. And also, Oracle and I have a brand new online mixing course out right now called The Art of Beat Mixing. It's hours worth of content. We even got PDF cheat sheets in there for you to follow along. And there's a bonus free drum kit that comes along with it as well. So let's go ahead and dive in here. We're going to show you how to get your vocals to sound wider. With that being said, there's literally hundreds of ways to make vocals sound wider. This is just one way. If I were to go into every single way to do this, this video could end up being literally 10 hours long, no lie. But this is just one way, and this may not work with every song, but it's good to know different ways to do different things and to have different tricks in your bag. That way you can be able to apply it to different situations when you need. So let's go ahead and hit play. I got this song here. It uses a loop from our Torch to Globe loop pack. So if you like the loop, you can check that out. I'll leave a link in the description below. So let's go ahead and hit play and hear how these vocals sound.
Say you with your friends and your one friend just got dumped, say you're out late. Just left the studio, I'm about to huddle up with the guys and make a play, baby, how great. Giving me a live location, I'ma get there before you're on rotation. No, don't let your heart go race.
All right, so we can definitely get these vocals to sound a little bit wider, especially for the feel of this song. There's a lot of stuff going on in the beat that's kind of a little out there and ambient a little bit, so it kind of helps to make the vocals pop a little bit more by making them wider. So what we're going to do, though, here's the big tip for this technique, is we're actually going to put this on as a send versus just throwing this on right as an insert. And the reason why I want to do that is because I want to keep the lead vocal still coming straight down the mix. I don't want to lose that. I don't want to take away from the fullness of the lead vocal. And so I want the effect to be on a parallel channel for the left and right, and then we can just kind of blend that in a little bit. So let's go ahead and do this right here. If you don't know how to use send and returns, I do have a video on that, so you can just click and watch this, and that will show you how to use send and returns here. But let's go ahead and put this channel on here. All right, so we created a send, and then we're going to throw a plugin on here that is going to make this sound wider. The one that I'm going to use is called Micro Shift by SoundToys. You could also use other plugins like Waves Doubler, or you could use S1 Imager by Waves. There's a lot of stereo imaging plugins out there that make stuff wider. I'll show you at the end here how you can do this with some stock plugins as well. But what I like about the SoundToys one is it's simple. It's got everything that I need right here in one box right here. So let's go ahead and go through what some of these effects here are doing. So we have our style. That's usually where I start here. The first two styles are some different H3000 presets. And then the third style right here is based on a Neve DMX 1080S preset. So it's really just to taste, and I kind of switch around and listen to what I like the most. It's going to be different per each song. And then we have some detune and delay controls. The detune here is going to have the left and right channels tuned a little bit differently. That way, again, it starts to appear wider. So let's go ahead and listen to it with the minimum and the maximum.
Say you with your friends and your one friend just got dumped, say you're out late. Just left the studio, I'm about to huddle up. Say you with your friends and your one friend just got dumped, say you're out late. Just left the studio, I'm
So, when we go to max, it definitely seems wider versus minimum. It's a little bit more down the center here. I like to be a little conservative. I don't like to go too crazy here. So we'll probably kind of blend in where we want to hear this.
Say you with your friends and your one friend just got dumped, say you're out late. Just left the studio.
And for this particular track right here, I like it kind of a little bit below half here. And then same thing with delay, same concept here, is it's going to delay one of the channels a little bit differently here, so it appears wider. If it's delayed differently than it is delayed on this side here, our ears are going to naturally think that it's wider here. So let's go ahead and listen.
Say you with your friends and your one friend just got dumped, say you're out late. Just left the studio, I'm about to.
So you can hear the difference there. So let's kind of blend in where we like this.
Say you're with your friends and your one friend just got dumped, say you're out late. Just left the studio, I'm about to huddle up with the guys and make a play, baby, how great. Giving me a live location.
And then too, also I skipped over here, but the style, I chose style 2. I'll show you the difference between the styles. On this one again, I really liked what this one was sounding like.
Say you're with your friends and your one friend just got dumped, say you're out late. Just left the studio, I'm about to huddle up with the guys and make a play, baby, how great. Giving me a live location. I'ma get there before you're on rotation. No, don't let your heart.
So yeah, we'll go with style 2 here. Style 1 had a little bit more of a centered tone to it, a little thicker. So if you wanted to use style 1, I couldn't argue with that. That actually had a pretty good style. And then just for me, style 3 just had a little bit too much looseness to it. So that's why I went ahead and went with style 2. I really just kind of met in the middle there. All right, so now let's go on this focus knob right here. This is basically a 2-band cross filter here, and it's really going to be different each track that you use. This is very source dependent, and so each vocal is going to be different, each track is going to be different, so you really got to use this to taste and kind of figure out where you want this. I find that the more you hit to 10K, it's going to sound a little bit muddier, and the more that we're down to 20 hertz, we're going to hear a little bit more of a cleaner tone to it.
Say you're with your friends and your one friend just got dumped, say you're out late. Just left the studio, I'm about to huddle up with the guys and make a play, baby, how great. Giving me a live location. I'ma get there before you're on rotation. No, don't let your heart go racing. Pulling on your hair, your.
So I kind of like that there. It still gives me some looseness, but it also still gives me some clarity to use as well. And then with the mix knob, since we're using this as a send and return, we're just going to keep the mix at 100% wet. All right, so now what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the level here. Now, I'll probably have some people in the comments that are going to want to argue or fight me over this, but instead of using the actual send fader here, I like to use the output of the actual effect here. And the reason why I like to do that is because I'm probably going to put some type of compression on here. And so if I'm using the send fader right here, what I'm going to have to do is, one, I'm going to have to use a lot more compression here.
Say you're with your friends and your one friend just got.
To get results versus if we're at 0.
Say you're with your friends and your one friend.
And then another thing too is if later on while I'm mixing I decide that I want to adjust this, well, if I'm adjusting this knob, then I'm gonna also have to go to the compressor and adjust that, and it's just a lot of extra work. So I just like to turn down the output here. I usually kind of go between 15 and 20, somewhere there where I turn it down.
Say you're with your friends and your one friend just got dumped, say you're out late.
So let's go ahead and mute this compressor for a moment and hear what this sounds like in the mix, and I'll go back and forth so you can hear the difference.
Say you're with your friends and your one friend just got dumped, say you're out late. Just left the studio, I'm about to huddle up with the guys and make a play, baby, how great. Giving me a live location, I'ma get there before you're on.
And then we'll make a couple little adjustments here just to kind of get things to pop a little bit more.
Say you're with your friends and your one friend just got dumped, say you're out late. Just left the studio, I'm about to huddle up with the guys and make a play, baby, how.
So I think that gives us a wider tone. Most of the time when I'm doing this, I don't actually have the vocals soloed. I'm actually blending this in with the rest of the mix so I can hear the whole context. But for the sake of the tutorials, I do like to solo so you can actually hear what the results are doing without having all the distraction of the rest of the stuff. It's good for the sake of learning. So another thing here too is I'll just kind of add in a little bit of mid-side compression. I recently did a full video on mid-side compression, so feel free to click right there if you want to know more about mid-side compression. But we'll just add a little bit of that, compress the sides so we can get a little bit more pumping going on, just a little bit wider sound.
Say you're with your friends and your one friend just got dumped, say you're out late. Just left the studio, I'm about to huddle up with the guys and make a play, baby, how great.
And then I might throw on some type of EQ where I filter out the lows. And then I'm also going to filter out some of the highs because I really do want the vocal that's coming straight down the middle. I really want that to be the dominant of the high frequencies here. And so we'll just kind of filter out some of those highs. And then if you do have an EQ that has mid-side capabilities, I do recommend EQing the sides of the upper mid-range here a little bit.
Say you're with your friends and your one friend just got dumped, say you're out late. Just left the studio, I'm about to
Just add a little bit of more excitement to the sides here. And so let's go ahead and again, we'll A-B back and forth. We'll hear it with and without.
say you're with your friends and your one friend just got dumped, say you're out late. Just left the studio, I'm about to huddle up with the guys and make a play, baby, how great. Giving me a live location, I'ma get there before you're on rotation. No, don't let your heart go racing, pulling on your hair, your bra.
And then I might turn that down just a little bit now that I'm hearing it in and out.
Say you're with your friends and your one friend just got dumped, say you're out late. Just left the studio, I'm about to huddle up with the guys and make a play, baby, how.
All right, and then you can also add some reverb here. It all depends, again, what you're kind of going for here. If you're kind of going for more of a sound like the baby, for instance, you're probably going to want to put the reverb on the actual effect here. If you're going for a sound more like Lil Baby, you're going to want to put your reverb on the actual lead vocal. And if you're going for something more like a Kanye sound, then you're probably going to go ahead and mute all this together and just have a really dry sound coming down the middle with no widening at all. Or, you know, there might be a case where you don't even use the wide and you just use the reverb. It all depends on what you're going for. But let's go ahead for this track and we'll put the reverb on the actual wide chain here.
Say you're with your friends and your one friend just got dumped, say you're out late. Just left the studio, I'm about to huddle up with the guys and make a play, baby, how great. Giving me a live location, I'ma get there before you're on rotation. No, don't let your heart go racing.
And I'll just show you what it sounds like if we put it on the actual verse.
Say you're with your friends and your one friend just got dumped, say you're out late. Just left the studio, I'm about to huddle up.
So you can hear it just kind of gives it different styles. And again, it all depends on what you're going for. It could be different between each song, each artist, each style that you're going with here. And again, this is one tip. There's like literally hundreds of different ways to do this. You could throw on a widening plugin on your actual reverb here. You could put it before or after the reverb, all depending on the sound that you're going for. You could throw an auto panner on your reverb. You could use phaser effects on the lead vocal or as a parallel channel. You could use phaser effects on the reverb. You could double the vocals if you want, if you have the capability of doing that. Sometimes you don't always have that option because the artist sent you the vocals just like this, so you kind of have to do other things to make that happen. You could duplicate the channel and alter one side a little bit. So there's literally just hundreds of ways of doing this. This is just one way of doing it. This is music. This isn't something like when you vacuum a room where there's really one or two ways to be able to vacuum. Music, there's literally hundreds and hundreds of ways. So it's just good to have different tricks in your bag, and you never know when you might need to use a trick like this. Now let me show you right here how to do this with some stock plugins, just in case you don't have this particular plugin here. And so all we're gonna do here is we're gonna throw on a delay plugin here. It's got a stock delay here. And the big key to this, you want to make sure that link is off, because when link is on, you see that the left and right channels are going to go together here. And so if I do this here with link off, the left and right channels will be separate here. And so this particular stock delay here only goes down to a 16th note, and that's actually going to be too slow here. So I'm going to go ahead and switch these using the numbers here to a 32nd note. Now, if you want to know more about this equation, I do have dozens and dozens of videos on this, so I'm not going to go in deep, but you can click right here and that will pop up and show you why we're using these numbers here that we're using here. So we're going to put this as a 64th note here. And so let's go ahead and type that in here. And then something that you might want to do is you might want to go down even more on the other channel here, because that's the key, is we're going to do these channels separately here. So you could do 128th note if you wanted on one side here. So let's go ahead and listen to what that sounds like.
Say you're with your friends and your one friend just got dumped, say you're out late. Just left the studio, I'm about to huddle up with the guys and make a play, big.
Now, if on the other side you don't want it to be so locked in rhythmically, instead of doing an actual note value, what I like to do sometimes is I like to differentiate the two by 10 milliseconds. Sometimes I'll go up, sometimes I'll go down.
Say you with your friends and your one friend just.
And then we'll show you what it sounds like going up 10 milliseconds.
Say you with your friends and your one friend just.
So you can see right here, I have 39.8 milliseconds on the left and 49.8 on the right. But what I actually probably want to do is I want to go down 10 milliseconds on the other channel. It wasn't quite as loose right there. All right, and then the other thing that you could do here is you could throw on a pitch shift plugin here, and it will again do exactly what we did with micro shift. And the key here is you want to unlink the channels. That way you can change the pitch on one side separately than the other side here. You could go a little drastic and you could actually change it by half steps here. So I'll show you that up and down.
Say you with your friends and your one friend just got dumped, say you're out late.
And then if we went down.
Say you with your friends and your one friend just got dumped, say you're out late.
So let's go ahead and hear that in the mix here.
Say you with your friends and your one friend just got dumped, say you're out late. Just left the studio, I'm about to huddle up with the guys and make a play, baby, how great. Giving me a lot.
Right, so it's again doing exactly what micro shift did, where we're hearing this side delayed and pitched differently than we're hearing this side here. And you don't always necessarily have to change the right channel. You could change the left channel if you wanted. Another thing too is if you don't want to be as drastic as half steps here, we could fine tune a little bit here, and we could fine tune the different sides a little bit. Like one side we could go up and another side we could go down.
Say you with your friends and your one friend just got dumped, say you're out late. Just left the studio, I'm about to huddle up with the guys and make a play, baby, how great. Say you with your friends and your one friend. Say you with your friends.
All right, and then let's go ahead and hear this in and out.
Say you with your friends and your one friend just got dumped, say you're out late. Just left the studio, I'm about to huddle up with the guys and make a play, baby, how great. Giving me a live location.
And then as I'm hearing this in and out, I might want to ease up a little bit on the pitch here. It's getting a little loose there.
Say you with your friends and your one friend just got dumped, say you're out late. Just left the studio, I'm about to huddle up with the guys.
So just cool little effects there to be able to make this sound wider here. So one of the questions that's going to get asked in the comment section below is, what about phasing issues? Because you cannot do an online tutorial about stereo imaging or widening your sound without somebody mentioning, won't this introduce phasing issues? I swear there's like a notification on that guy's phone or something that goes off anytime there's like a stereo imaging tutorial, and it's like, hey, you got an opportunity to ask the question, won't this introduce phasing issues? But the thing is anytime that we're going to add a widening or change the stereo field or try to make the mix wider, we are going to do things that adjust the phase a little bit, because that's exactly why it appears louder, because the left side and the right side are being shifted differently a little bit, and it tricks the mind into thinking that it's wider if the left side is doing something slightly different than the right side. So that's exactly how we make things wider, is we change the phase a little bit on one channel. So you are going to have some type of phase that you're introducing to your mix when you do this. But I would not cater your whole life around whether or not it's going to introduce a phase issue. I would just make sure that it's not to the point of where it's going to cancel out sound in your mix or introduce some issue where it's making things sound too thin. So if you are worried about phase, all you got to do is collapse to mono. I do that in every single mix, and make sure, and if you hear any type of phasing issue or you're losing anything, just make some slight adjustments until that goes away. But that's all you really have to do. On this particular trick, I don't think you'll have to worry about introducing too many phasing issues. I collapsed to mono when I was mixing this track. I didn't hear any. The phasing issue is going to be so minute that it's not really going to make a difference, at least not to the point where you need to make severe adjustments or scrap the whole effect all the way. And in the beginning, if you remember too, I said that I wanted to be a little bit more conservative with the detune and the pitching knobs, and that's mainly because I didn't want to create any phasing issues or anything introduced like that. But again, the phasing issue is so minute on here that it's really not going to create that many phasing issues in your mix. So I wouldn't focus too much on that issue, and I would focus more on getting it to sit good in the mix and making sure that the effect is where you like it to taste. And so that's pretty much basically the technique. And like I said, you might not use this one on every single song. Sometimes you might use this in a song, but you'd only use it on the chorus or the bridge vocals. Sometimes you might use it on all the vocals. It all really just depends on what you're going for and the style that you're using it for. There's times when I use this effect, and then there's times when I don't use this effect at all. It just all depends on the situation. But hopefully this information helped and you got something useful out of this. And like I said, be sure to subscribe. That way you can catch the latest updates. And if you found this video helpful, hit that thumbs up button. It really does help a lot to grow the channel. Hey, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel right here so you can catch the latest tutorials on mixing, mastering, and production. And you can check out some of our suggested videos here, here, and here. And of course, if you're looking for premium loops and samples, you can find that at SoundOracle.net. We got plenty to choose from.